Okay, so it looks like, let me make sure we are live. I
No,
think,
I don't think we are yet.
no. Okay, we are live. We are live. Okay, hello you
Oh, yeah,
guys.
there we go. I see it.
Okay, this is Outside the Box with Sage. I am a certified life and relationship coach, and so a lot of my shows kind of revolve around a type of coaching in a sense, kind of like inspiration, advice, encouragement, things like that. Um,
Amen.
I do all of it from a Christian perspective because I am a Christian coach. And so I just want to welcome you guys to the show tonight. We're going to be talking about something a little bit of a heavy topic, not too much, but a little bit. I want to talk about DMX and the struggle for wholeness. And so I'll go into more detail about what I mean by that as we get into the show. But as for now, guys, please like and share this video. It's
Like and share.
on every I'm on every Monday from at 8 p.m. And guys, come back for the next show if you like this one. And so right now,
Starting the week out right.
go ahead, Ron.
It's a pleasure to be with y'all tonight. This new installment on the Speakeasy every Monday. We're in a pandemic. We have, I think, literally probably every human on this earth has been going through their own personal trials, their own walk. Hence, epidemic, pandemic, and it's a blessing to be able to start outside the box. So I'm just hoping, loyals, that y'all tune in, that y'all love it, and that it touches y'all and helps you continue through these rough days.
Yeah, exactly. Because even outside of the pandemic, life is tough in general. And so we always need
Exactly.
encouragement and guidance and things like that. And that's what I kind of offer as a life coach. And so, yeah, thanks for that, Ron. So before we get started, I want to, again, this show is about DMX and the struggle for wholeness and to set things off right and give DMX his proper due. I'm going to play a
His due diligence.
Yes, his due diligence. I am going to play a video by DMX, a song by DMX that is perfect for this show. So go ahead, Ron, and play that.
Cue it up. As I get it ready to cue it up, I'm still getting into our chat. Make sure y'all like and share. Like
Yes,
and share.
please.
Put it on all
Please.
platforms. I think you got a page going now too, don't you?
Yeah, I do have Outside the Box page, my own page for this show. And so that on that page, you can know what's coming up even in the future. I have things posted on there for the next couple shows already. I'm going to put some more things up there. You can also, I haven't set it up yet, but I'm going to do that soon. You will also be able to make an appointment with me for a free coaching session if you're interested in that. And so you have to
Sign me up.
visit that, visit that.
Brother CJ, thank you for tuning in tonight.
Hey, CJ, thanks. I'm
Like and share.
what he's gonna think about this show, but we'll see towards the end. I'm sure he'll let me know. So yeah, so Ron is gonna play the video, and we'll be back with the topic.
I'm going to let Rayvon introduce his new friend, DMX.
Well, everybody, here's this new song by DMX, Keep Your Head Up. Let's go.
That's what we're talking about.
Let them know, X. Rest in power. About to touch your heart.
Come on! Yeah! What? When I think I don't deserve it, I think about Jesus and the fact that he was perfect and he thinks that I'm worth it. I know I got a purpose, so when I don't like what I see in the mirror, I learn to look past the surface. Believe me, God heard this, cause these words came from my heart. I was in pain, it was dark. Then came the spark, the light down the road that let me know he would lighten up my load, and it's gonna get greater later. God only wants the best for me, but the devil's a hater. I can see his eyes through the smiles of fake friends. If you all think hate wins, just keep. At the end of the day, whose will you think will prevail? Or will you live to tell? Miracle after miracle, it comes true. The spiritual individual is in you. Live it. Yeah. Your head. What? To the sky. Come on. Yeah. Your head. What? To the sky. Lord, if you hear me, you know that I'm coming to you sincerely. I need you near me. Please feel me. I'm sick and I need for you to heal me. I'm lost and looking for the real me. I'm tired and weary. Haven't been able to see things clearly. And even though I know you love me dearly, I still get weary. So where does that leave me? Lost and alone. Wanna call God for this life? I lost my phone. Every day is a struggle, cause I juggle my problems. Need to let go and let God, cause only he can solve them. I'm tired of lying to myself, thinking I can do it on my own when I get left alone. When the devil sneaks in and creeps in, knocks on the door lightly then peeks in. And it's usually around the weekend that I get reckless and jump off the deep end. Come on! Yeah! Your head to the sky. No matter what! All you need is faith. Faith in the Lord's plan. It's gonna be all right. Real talk. Talk to him. Let him know what to do. Come on. Yeah. What? Come on! Yeah! What? To the sky. Exactly.
Wow, this song is so powerful, man.
It's touching. You know, it doesn't take too much to analyze the fruits of a person. And you know, one thing that I love that the Bible says in Proverbs is when the righteous rule, you can tell by the people and how they rejoice and celebrate, compared to when the evil rule, people are mourning and in struggle. So thank you, X, for your life and everything you've done for our people. Why did you want to do DMX tonight, Sage?
I wanted to do DMX tonight, of course, because he just passed away recently. And so, so first, before I get into why I wanted to do this tonight, I want to kind of introduce DMX for those who may have seen the video and don't know who he is, or this is your first time hearing the song or whatever. And so DMX, his real name was Earl Simmons, and he was a rapper, a songwriter, and an actor. He was really, really popular in the 90s, and he was the first to debut a #1 5 times in a row on the Billboard's 200. And so he was the first to do that, and he sold about 74 million records worldwide. So even though there might be some people who don't know him, I know most people, especially in the Black community, know who DMX is, especially us older people. And so,
And he was the first to release 2 albums in the same calendar year, and they both go platinum that week.
wow, yeah, he was definitely he's an icon, that you can't deny. And so unfortunately, with all the success and everything that we know him from, he passed away on April 9th, just recently, from allegedly from drug overdose. It's not, there's no been any, his autopsy report didn't confirm that, but that's the alleged reason that he passed away, which is not necessarily shocking for his fans and those who knew him, because his struggle with drug addiction was something that he did not hide. And so anybody who knows him is familiar with the fact that he struggled with drugs for many years. And so that's why, I wanted to play the song, is because you can hear that struggle in his music, like especially this song in particular. You can hear it in his music, and it's I guess it's eye-opening in a way, because he's also talking about God at the same time. And so like what we were talking about last week about like cookie cutter Christians and things like that, of people who they try to make Christianity appear so very neat and clean, and that they have it together and they don't have any problems. And he depicted that, yes, he was a Christian, he believed in God, but he still struggled. And I really appreciate that about him, because it's through like sharing these struggles that you give people the encouragement and the insight and everything to deal with their own struggles. And so that's basically what I wanted to talk about tonight. Is like, why I want to talk about DMX is to, as an example for, how we, can struggle with our own stuff, even when we are Christians, or even if we have, because, this is a Christian show, so I mostly refer to Christian, but I know other people have different beliefs. But a lot of the times people think that when you're Christian, your problems get solved and stuff like that. And it's not necessarily true. And so that's kind of what I want to go into talking about tonight.
Our chat is blowing up, talking
Okay.
about how DMX died. We'll get to that hopefully eventually. I see y'all ready. I know CJ was ready to talk about how he truly died. So stay tuned.
Okay. Well, that's why I said allegedly, because
Right.
yeah. And then some people were even saying it had something to do with COVID, but it's all alleged. And I really don't want to go into like what's alleged, especially out of respect for his family.
That's not the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
So the story of he shared a lot on the internet, how he got started in his trauma and his fight for wholeness. What happened to him at a young age?
Yeah, and that's like one of the things that I wanted to go into, is because like a lot of people think that once you become, so most of the time when we become Christians or start seeking for answers, so to speak, it's because we're unhappy with our lives. It's because we feel emptiness and things like that. And so a lot of times when we search for that higher power, especially when it comes to Christianity, we think that becoming a Christian a lot of times is going to solve that. And that's not, it doesn't work that way all the time. And so that's, I'm losing my train of thought, but I'll get it back. So despite your belief in God, like you can still struggle with stuff. And so we have to understand that those struggles go deeper than that. And that kind of points to what you were talking about his childhood and things like that, because those things are connected. And so, as Christians, and I don't want to keep saying as Christians, because I feel like this kind of applies to everybody, but I'm just saying Christian because of DMX and his own thing. But when we go through these things, it can make us feel like God is not with us, God is not care, that we can't overcome them. I don't want to assume if DMX overcame his own struggles or not. I just want to point out that, he did struggle, because I don't know that. I don't like to speak on things that I don't know about. And so, but the reason why these things are difficult, basically going back to what you were saying, Ron, is that it comes down to the wiring of our brains. And so our brains are wired in childhood, and depending on how they're wired, it gives us a predisposition towards certain behaviors and choices. And so it goes back to his childhood. So like he talked about very openly how he got started. I read a lot about the trauma that he went through his childhood, and it was terrible. Like mother like knocked teeth out of his mouth. She locked him in rooms. Sometimes he wasn't allowed to eat. She was very, very rough with him. His dad wasn't really in the picture that much, which creates a whole nother problem in and of itself, because kids, we were designed to have two parents, and when one is not there, that's an emptiness that's created just from that. And so because of his childhood and kind of what he went through, and I don't think he, really sugarcoated it very much, it is led him to being more prone to having a drug issue. And so the thing is that once we become Christians, like, yeah, God can heal us miraculously if he wanted to, and sometimes he does. And so I've experienced some deliverances like instantly, and I know some other people who have experienced them, but the problem with deliverances is that you don't learn anything. So like if God just takes something from you without you going through any process to understand where that thing came from, why, and stuff like that, you don't really walk away from the situation a wiser person. And so a lot of the times he wants us to actually go through the process of being healed instead of just taking things away from us instantly, so that we don't only come out of it with being a newer person or a person more at peace, but we come out of it with some wisdom and knowledge and insight that we didn't have before. Are you able to follow me, Ron? Do you understand what I'm saying? Or
to a T.
Okay. So I don't want to just be like, I'm just like teaching a class. So
no, it's just a hard topic and hard subject. Thank you, Jason Helseth. He says he loves what you're doing.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. That's my buddy. Yeah. Yeah, he's always really, really supportive of everything I do, and I really appreciate it. So to get back to what I was saying is that we have to do the work. Like we have to do the work of getting past our trauma, and first of all, addressing our trauma, realizing how it has affected us, and then putting in the work to get past it. And if we don't do this, it doesn't matter how much you pray, it doesn't matter how much you read the Bible, it doesn't matter how much you believe or and that you will be healed one day, because you have some people who say, oh, I know one day I'm going to be better and better and better. But if you don't put the work in, it's never going to happen. And so you have sometimes this contradiction within Christianity where God just is supposed to do everything for us, and he doesn't do that. Like we have to put the work in. We have to be willing to make the sacrifices and suffer and struggle to, get the kind of results that we're looking for, and not just expect, God to do everything. We have eyes, we have nose, we have a brain, we have legs, we have arms. We have a lot at our disposal, and just to sit on our hands and say, God, do this for me, and not expect to have to do anything is not necessarily realistic, or I would say spiritually mature, because we have to do the work. And so let me see what is going on in the chat, because you're making noises.
I'm making those noises to you because you are the nail and you the hammer.
Okay.
Right on about your run, your race. It's called a marathon. It's not a sprint. Every single thing, every day, we take for granted each day. Every day, God has a lesson for us and something we have to learn and go through. Like what you're saying, you can't just say, manifest, let the manna rain down from heaven and all is going to be okay. Like our chat is saying, it is all a journey. You got a lot going in here. Sequoia says hello. Jason has a question for you.
Okay. I don't know why I'm not seeing his question, but
he said, how can we become our best selves?
Okay, and that's a very, very loaded question, because there's a lot of components that go into being our best selves. what I kind of want to focus on today is like when we're repeatedly struggling with, because even though DMX has a well-known issue with drugs, we all are struggling with stuff. So whether it's drugs, whether it's how we feel about ourselves, the relationships that we have, our careers, our health, all kinds of issues, because they're endless. We all are struggling with something, and so you can take a lesson from even DMX's experience to know that how to kind of push past some of these things. And that's kind of what I want to encourage, is that we can push past these things, but it takes for us to do the work. And anything that you do in life that's worth anything requires some work to put in it. Actually, you value it more when you work for something than when it's just given to you. Like if somebody just gives you, a house and you didn't work for it, I mean, you might be appreciative or whatever, but you're not going to take care of it as much or be as vigilant about your home if you work for it and pay for it yourself. And so we have to put the work in. Like it's essential to our growth as human beings to put the work in. And so I guess I hope that answers Jason's question, because that's like an overall answer, is that we have to put the work in it. But a lot of times we do need help in knowing where to put the work in, because if you're putting the work in the wrong place, then you're not going to get the results that you need either. And I think that's why God has put people on this earth, like, pastors and coaches like myself, sometimes friends and family, anybody in your life that is an inspiration to you that can kind of help you, guide you along that path, so you will know what you need to put the work in so you can get basically the results that you're looking for. So, but yeah, so do you have is anybody saying anything else in the chat? I can't see it right now.
No, everyone's just viewing right now.
Okay.
If you guys have any other questions, any thoughts, make sure you share them. Like and share, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so basically when we are not instantly delivered, I have a guy coming on in a couple of weeks, a pastor from another church, and he talks about how he was delivered from his drug issues and that it was instantaneous. And it's really nice when you experience that type of stuff, because it makes you understand the love of God and the power of God. But again, you don't really learn very much outside of that. You don't get away from it. Yeah, with a deep.
Some people, he does have to have that certain circumstance where it has to be immediate because of the work, the call. This has nothing to do with it, but one of my favorite times that you can see it live on TV, The Preacher's Wife. You remember when the mom had that cigarette addiction, and when she finally ran into Denzel, she was like, "You know what? Hey y'all, I'm done smoking cigarettes." Yeah. And it's like, oh wow. And it's like, that's kind of exactly what we're hitting at. So when it does happen like that, it's beautiful, although that's fake. But that's just popping my mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because when that happens, it's what happens in that deliverance is that the desire for that thing, it goes away. And so it's like, if you're, for example, for her, okay, let me go back. So it all boils down to the wiring of the brain. So the way the brain is wired is determines how you will act and what you will do. And then when you keep repeatedly doing something, it solidifies that wiring. And so again, for like smoking, and you can think of it more like a habit, if that's a little bit easier. So the more you do something, the more it becomes a habit, but it's actually wiring your brain, and it becomes that much harder to break it. But the thing about an instantaneous deliverance, is that the desire to do that thing goes away completely in that moment. So if you're smoking cigarettes, all of a sudden you don't have the desire to smoke cigarettes anymore. Or if you're on drugs, like, in DMX's case, all of a sudden you don't have the desire to do that anymore. I can think of a lot of different type of desires, but this will turn into a different show. And so, but the desire that you have is you don't have the strong desire that compels you to do it. You don't have it anymore. Now, like even what you were saying, Ron, I don't know the criteria that God uses for like delivering somebody instantaneously or not. Like, I don't know what makes him say, okay, Sage needs to be delivered from this right now, or this one she's going to have to work through. And so it's just a matter of you, if you're not getting that instantaneous delivery, to understand that you got to work through this one. Like, it's not going to come that easy for you. You got to work through it. And there's always a reason why God will have you do that. And usually when you come on the other side of it, then you understand why he had you work through it. And so I don't want, people shouldn't be like,
Can I give a great example just to flow with you? Let's keep it biblical. Two of the greatest men that we read in the Bible that took on the call of the Great Commission, Peter versus Saul. Peter had lots of issues. He was always being corrected and always had to grow. And he never really got that, okay, I am where I am. And even on the death of Christ, he rejected and rebuked him. Meanwhile, we have Saul, who was persecuting the church. And then out of nowhere on Damascus Road, boom, he met that light, and his life completely changed.
Exactly. That's really good examples, Ron. And even when you go back to like what I was saying about the wiring of the brain, this is why the scripture talks a lot about renewing your mind. That's basically telling you to do is that you have to rewire your brain, because your brain is wired in a certain way that's making you behave and act and choose what you're doing. And so you have to rewire your brain. If you don't do this, it's very, very difficult to overcome whatever it is that you're struggling with, which now goes to like what you were saying about Peter, because he was saying like, I want to do right, but I can't. Like, I know what I want to do and I really, really want to do it. And I set my mind to do it, but I can't do it. And he didn't really understand. Of course, they didn't have as much knowledge and information that we have today about the human mind, but he didn't understand that it was because of the wiring of his brain. Even when you talk about the power of sin comes from the wiring of your brain, because your brain has been wired to indulge in sin, to repeat sin, and it's hard, it becomes very, very difficult to break it. And so the process of actually rewiring your brain is what we have to go through when the Bible talks about renewing your mind. That's what we actually have to do to break those things. Now, like some people might say, well, if you just rewire your brain, then you don't need God. And some people can. So you can rewire your brain without God. That's when you have other life coaches that are not Christian based like me, or motivational speakers and things like that. Like they'll tell you like to keep listening to this thing over and over again, or to say these affirmations every morning over and over again. What are they doing there? They're trying to get you to rewire your brain, because the more you keep doing something and you keep repeating it, you break the original wiring, you break your mind's tendency to resort to that original wiring. So
I want to jump in too. Hey, Sunshine, we see you, baby. She said, God can remove the taste out of people's mouth, but sometimes they still got to battle it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, it can be difficult. Like I understand, as much as I have went through this process many times myself, I know why people give up. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult. But I mean, it doesn't mean, but you can get through it. Like if you really push it and you really fight, I mean, it's gonna feel like you're breaking, but that's the point, because you need to break that wiring that's in your brain. And I know why a lot of people get to those feelings of like, they feel like they're breaking, they're coming apart, they back up, because it's very, very difficult. And a lot of people can't really endure that. And that's when you get people who repeatedly struggle with the same things over and over and over and over and over again.
I love that you're hitting on the brain, because the wiring of the brain, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And you know how I like to see it, we're made in his image. We are a Trinity. There's three parts to us. We have our flesh, we have our spirit, and we have our brain. They're in contact to try and control what's going on in your head. And you have to be able to, exactly, Sunshine, break that cycle and overcome it. You have the power and the keys to do it. It's just a long marathon, not a sprint. And I feel like a lot of our people are down on themselves, beating themselves down. And you can agree or disagree with me, Sage. It's a lot of the doctrine from the church on how it's taught to make the people feel the way that we're talking about and not like overcomers.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And sometimes you even see where like it's almost like some churches are in this mindset of like we are supposed to be repeatedly feeling bad for what we do all the time. Like we're supposed to be sorry, begging God for forgiveness all the time. They don't. A lot of times I don't see churches really empowering you with the tools to actually do these things, to overcome these things. It's almost like they just want a body in the chair. And you know, this can go back to like business wise, because the more seats they have filled, the more money they get. Sometimes churches just become too much of a business for me, and they get away from all these more important things that people actually need. Like Jesus did not just stay in a church and just preach and that's it. He went around and actually showed people and taught them and gave them what they needed. And so giving us the tools to overcome a lot of these challenges that we have in life. And when you have churches that are not doing that, then it's like, you shouldn't be surprised when there's so much chaos and stuff going on in the church, because we definitely have these tools at our disposal to do these things. So then I talked about before, like, if you have people in your life to help guide you to figure out what you need to do, because it can be really confusing. Okay, it's like, where do I start? Like, how do I know how to break this habit? Like we talk about the wiring of the brain. That's not something that you can put your finger on and say, oh, I know where that wiring is and just go pull it out. Like, so sometimes we don't know where to start. We don't know sometimes that our problem is as big of a problem as it is. And so that's why it's important to have people, again, pastors, friends, coaches like myself, family that can help you identify these things and kind of put you on the right path to what it takes to overcome them. And so you might say some people can do this without God, which they can. But one of the things about God is that, one of the things about the Holy Spirit is that's what the main thing that the Holy Spirit does is give you knowledge and direction. And so you don't have to be lost, kind of stumbling around as much, because even when you have that, it still can be kind of confusing and take you some time to figure it out. But the Holy Spirit can help you, not just you, but through other people, also give you the information and the guidance that you need to get on that path to actually overcoming the problems that you're having. You can do it without God. It is much more difficult. And then in some ways it's not, I don't think it's as deep, because anytime God does something, he's going to get to the root of it. Like he's not going to just deal with the surface of it and then you change one thing and you're fine. He's going to actually get to the root of the problem and help you change it, at your core, which will help change you in a variety of ways, not even just with that particular issue that you're struggling with. I was thinking about something and lost my train of thought again. So Ron, do you kind of follow what I'm saying? Because sometimes
I'm thinking of the story in the Bible that kind of talks about exactly what we're talking about with the church folks and how you deal with it. And we can look at how Yeshua did, Christ himself, the woman at the well. He approached her. Everyone was surrounding and he was talking to her pretty much. You've had multiple husbands, multiple men. You're doing this, you're doing that, zada, zada, zada. And that's not right pretty much. But it's not the way it has to be. Despite your life right now, despite all of your past, guess what? Your sins are forgiven. You can move forward. Meanwhile, you got the scribes and the Pharisees standing around. And he's just like, y'all are all ready to stone this woman and persecute her and kill her. But the first one of you that without sin and without fault, throw a stone. And everyone ended up leaving. The woman's left there crying, comes to her, be healed, be strengthened, move forward.
Yeah, I like that you said that, but you mixed two stories up together.
Did I?
Yeah, the woman at the well and the woman who they brought before Jesus to stone her, these are two different women.
Right.
Yeah, he did talk to the woman at the well. This revealed to her basically everything that she said. He told me everything I ever did, because he knew stuff about her that he shouldn't have known. But then the woman that the Pharisees brought to Jesus to stone the woman was because they caught her in
In the middle.
adultery. Yeah, yeah. And so, and that's the thing about when you get into like the cookie cutter Christian. I don't know if this is going to be like a term that I'm going to be using all the time because it just keeps.
We're gonna have to turn that into a segment.
Yeah,
Cookie
but
cutters.
yeah, and that's like very typical of those type of Christians because all they're looking at is the fault. They don't look at that Jesus actually came because we have these faults to help us overcome them. He didn't come to condemn us, but to help us to actually get through it and to give us the encouragement and the inspiration to push past it. And so when you have people that are very condemning and just pointing the finger and telling you what you're doing wrong all the time, that's not in the spirit of, in my opinion, what Jesus represented. It used to be encouraging people and letting them understand, like, it kind of goes back to what's that cartoon say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything. Like, if you can't encourage somebody and help them, then you should just be quiet, because people are hard enough on themselves already. They don't necessarily need other people now to be hard on them too. Like, people, you can't really sometimes bash another person more than what they're already doing to themselves. And so if you can't help them and you can't combat that and come at it a different approach that's going to actually put them on a different path, then you should just be quiet, because you're not being helpful, in my opinion. So
Church.
yeah, and so to, like, we gotta start to wrap this up a little bit here. So one of the things that I want to kind of emphasize about, like, what it takes to rewire your brain, you can look for resources. I found some very good books. I can't think of the lady's name right now, but she has some really, really good books. She's a Christian author. She's also a neurosurgeon, and she writes books on a Christian basis about how the brain functions in conjunction with scripture. And it's very, very powerful, because a lot of the things in the Bible kind of reveal a level of science that they didn't have at the time. But now that we have the knowledge, it's like, oh, that's what they were talking about. For example, like when the Bible talks about renewing your mind. Okay, now we understand that that means rewire your brain. But at the time, they didn't understand that. And so she really brings those things together to help you see the science behind some of the scriptures. If I can think of her name before we leave, then I will say it, but it's like on the tip of my tongue right now and I can't. So one of the things that you have to do to rewire your brain is to uncover your initial trauma, because a lot of the habits that we do is basically trying to hide that, because we don't know how to fix it, or we don't know that it needs fixing. And so if you have a really bad habit that you keep doing, whether it's drugs or, sexual in nature, or hurting yourself or stealing or whatever it is, you have to get to the reason why you're doing that, because that's where the power of that habit to keep redoing it is coming from. So you have to get to the source of it to break that. So for like example, we were talking about before in DMX's case, it seems very apparent to me, and he even said it, that this came from his childhood. He was really, really abused as a kid. It seems like he felt alone a lot, that he was by himself a lot. And he didn't really have like a support system to really, guide him on his path in life. And so all those things kind of created emptiness, because that's basically where it comes from. It's like us trying to feel our emptiness ourselves. So we fill them with bad habits because we don't know what else to do. And so you have to get to the source of where your issue is coming from. And again, it's not easy to do. Like, it's very, very hard to do. I would suggest most people, you have to go to like a counselor or pray, or, talk to a pastor or something like that, because it's really hard for us to get to those deeper issues on our own. I will say right now, to plug my free coaching opportunity, if you want help getting to the bottom of these things, then you can schedule a session with me and I can try to help you figure it out, because that is also something that I do. And so once you get to the source of where it's coming from, which can take some time, then you have to realize, okay, how has this affected me? Most of the time, the major way that it has affected us is our identity. So the way that we see ourselves. So because of what happened to DMX, it's very plausible that his the way he saw himself was he was unworthy, he wasn't loved, he was worthless, you know, some other things. I'm not saying that's how he felt. I'm just kind of throwing some stuff out there. But it kind of usually comes back to how it affects the way we see ourselves. So when you're able to identify that, okay, this thing made me believe this about myself. This thing made me believe that I was ugly, or this thing made me believe that I was worthless, or this thing made me believe that I was a failure. Then you have to start from there and start working backwards to really question those things. Okay, are you really a failure? Like, if you think you're a failure, what makes you a failure? Why do you think you're a failure? Can you change that? Because a lot of the things that we kind of believe about ourselves, they can be changed. Like, you, even if you think you're such a terrible person, you can change. Like, that's one of the great things about being human, is that we have the ability to change our paths in life. We don't have to stay there. And so once you start working on that and undoing the belief that you have, the negative belief you have about yourself, and then you just gradually work from there and start reinforcing those, again, rewiring your brain. You like exposing the bad wiring so that you can put down new wiring. So instead of saying to yourself you're a failure, and you start believing that you're not a failure, and you start practicing not being a failure, and you start doing things to re-emphasize that you're not a failure, gradually that thinking of being a failure will change, and then your behavior will follow suit with that. And so I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. If anybody has any questions about that, I am more than happy to explain. For some reason, the chat is not coming up for me to see.
We got a lot of comments, 45
Okay.
tonight. Everyone just pretty much pitching in and talking with you as you go. Everyone saying incredible things. I love to see it. It's how we're supposed to start the week out.
Okay, so I want to see what people are saying, because I don't want people.
You want me to read through?
Well, you don't have to read everything, but anything that you feel like we can expand on, because
So
I like interaction. So
after we started talking about the well, Jason said, "We have not come this far just to come this far. The Lord has more miles for us to travel in his name." And then Sunshine said, "Jesus loves compassion, healer, uplifting, open arms."
okay. Yeah, okay. So one thing that I want to
Do you have your screen on full screen? You might have to like swipe it right to get to the comments. That's usually what it is.
okay. Because I have it on my phone here, so I don't have to keep changing my screen to look at the comments. But anyway, it's so confusing. Because anyway, I'm not going to go into that. And so one thing that I want to say about tapping into the power that we have to change things, because God gave us this power anyway, and then in conjunction with his power is how we can do it, is that you have to believe it, and you have to believe you can get better. You have to believe that, you know, you can change your trajectory in life. Like, for example, like I was saying about being a failure, if you keep believing that, then you're going to produce behavior that's in alignment with the failure, because that's what you believe. So whatever you believe is what you end up, it dictates your choices. And so you have to believe that things can be different. If you don't believe that things can be different, then they're never going to change, because everything comes out of your mind. It starts with the mind and it ends with the mind. And so one thing that I saw about watching interviews, especially over the years with DMX, I saw a video with him, and I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but it's Ilania or something like that. He was on her show, and he was, she was talking about some of his issues, and she asked him, was he high? And so it was pretty apparent to me that he was. He said he wasn't. But she asked him, was he an addict? And he said he will always be an addict. And when he said that, my heart just dropped, because if he believes that he will always be an addict, then he will always be an addict. So whatever you believe is what you repeat. And so if you don't believe that you can be better, that you can be powerful, that you can overcome, that you can be free, that you are better, then you're never going to be better, because that's what you're believing. Again, it goes back to the wiring of the brain. And so you have to believe that, you know, you can do it. And that's the first thing. Like, even when it comes to like a lot of these motivational speakers, whether you're Christian or not, the main thing they try to get you to do is believe in yourself, because that's the key to unlocking the path to change. Like, you have to believe that you can actually do it. And so, yeah, I think it's the chat is coming up now. And so that's basically what I wanted to get into. You know, it's not easy to change. I really, I mean, you have to really be honest with yourself that you need change. And that's one of the things that I really like about that song that we played before, because DMX was very, very honest. Like, I mean, his honesty and what he was struggling with and how he felt and things like that, I just find it so refreshing, because a lot of times people are not that vulnerable. Like, they don't want to tell you all their struggles and what they're going through and stuff like that. And for him to put those deep struggles in a song the way that he did, and basically shared them with the world, because he could have just kept the song to himself. I know I have written stuff that I didn't share with people, but he shared his struggles, and I really admire that about him. And I understand, even from my own personal opinion, that that's one of the steps that you need to do to overcome, is to really just be honest with yourself about what it is that you're going through and how you're struggling and things like that. Of course, you still have to do the work, but that's one big step, because if you're not honest with yourself about what's going on with you, then you're not going to do the work anyway. So that's like the first step to even getting to that part. And so so that's basically what I want to talk about tonight. I hope people got something out of it. Again,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I feel like I'm over here sitting in class. Teach, coach.
and
I love it.
That's how a lot of, you know, my stuff will come out. It will be like, you know, kind of teaching you a lesson, which brings me to the last thing that I want to close with, which is my coach tip for the day. So every session or every show, I will do a life coach tip for you guys to walk away with and apply to your own lives. Don't forget also that I do offer free coaching sessions if you want to visit my page for that. And
Sign up.
yeah, and then
honestly, not to just take over, if you don't have a life coach, you need to make sure you have a life coach. There is wisdom in a multitude of counseling. So go to Sage, find somebody. There's so many different people you can get to talk to and get through these battles that you have to go through. Continue.
Yeah, because like a lot of times when you go through stuff, one of the main things people say is they feel alone, like when they're going through stuff. You don't have to be alone. Like, you really don't. We're not designed to be alone. We people, and so it's just a matter of finding the right people. I know sometimes people get really disillusioned because they get hurt and stuff like that, which you shouldn't let people stop you from reaching out to the people that actually love you and can help you. So it's definitely beneficial to take advantage of coaching, and not just coaching, because I don't want to just like, I'm advertising coaching, because everybody doesn't have access to a coach. Everybody doesn't have money for a coach, which is why I'm offering free coaching. But you need to find people who can help you and talk to you to work through these things, because we were not designed to go through these things alone. If you're not sure of who to go to, you can always pray and ask God. He will send people in your direction, especially if you're sincere and you're really, really ready to do the work. He will guide you to people, or he will bring people to you, so you do not have to go through these types of struggles alone. And so for the coach tip for the night, again, every show I will do a coach tip, a life coach tip at the end of the show, just for you guys to walk away with, you know, to churn over in your minds and figure out how you can apply it to yourself. And so the coach tip, of course, is connected to what I was already talking about, which be willing to do the work. There's a lot of people that have a lot of plans and a lot of goals and a lot of problems, but they don't want to do the work to actually solving them. It is not easy. It was not meant to be easy. You can't expect it to be easy. But once you have the mindset, it goes back to like believing that you can do something. Once you make up your mind to do the work, it's not as difficult as it is when your mind doesn't want to do the work. So it's like, I remember when I was younger, you know, I had a job and I didn't like the job. And so every day I would say, I hate my job. I hate my job. I don't like going to work. And I would go to work and the clock would tick very, very slowly. It seemed like it took forever. I was grumbling the whole time that I was there, and it made my day worse. Well, when I made up my mind, like, you know what, even though I have to go here every day. So what's the use of me keep saying, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. So I need to try to at least make the best of it so that I at least don't have a crappy day. So instead of telling myself I hate my job and always grumbling about the job, I just focus on something else, saying like, oh, today I'm going to try to do this faster, or today I'm going to kind of give myself different goals, or today I'm not going to grumble at all and I'm just going to try to get this done, da, 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 da. My days went much faster. I was not as stressed out and angry when I left work. And so I'm just using that example to point out that the change in mindset really helps a lot. So if you're like, you don't want to work on something, but there's work to be done, it's going to make it much, much harder for you to do that if you don't want to do the work. But if you set in your mind that you have to do the work, that you're willing to do the work, that you want to do the work to get the results that you want, it makes it that much easier. So that's my life coach tip for tonight is be willing to do the work. So you make up your mind what you want to do. Even if you don't know what the work is yet that you need to do, you just make up your mind that, you know what, whatever it takes to get here, I'm willing to do it, and just be willing to do the work. So Ron, do you have any, if you have any here, I'm willing to do, you can say that while I check the message. Ron, do you have any, if you have any here, I'm willing to say that while I check.
We got difficulties. Come on.
What is that?
My bad. Give me 1 second.
No problem, no problem.
I just was trying to put on our background music for us. So we roll out.
Okay.
Tonight. Here we go. Figured it out.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think I have anything else to add. You ended it
Okay.
perfectly. Be willing to do the work. We were put here on this earth to work. We're not meant to be alone. Man is never good alone. So
Yeah.
like Jason just said, it's Jason or Jason?
Jason. He just spells it that way. It's a
He
unique
said,
spelling. Yeah.
you all are on fire. Thank you both for setting up this forum. So we just
No
praying
problem.
that our words touch, and clearly it is. Blessings from the Speakeasy to start your week out and keep this mindset and mentality going. The man whose mind is stayed on me, I will keep in perfect peace.
Amen. Yeah, I like that. All right. So thank you guys again. Like and share, and see you next week.
It's Outside the Box with Sage. You guys know the platform. Just go to any site @ DASPKEZ, the Speakeasy. Please follow us. Please continue to support as we continue to support y'all. We out.
Bye.